last time on Abandoned Comfort.
We got off the dock for the first time in a year. Our journey to our weekend anchorage had us under sail for 90% of the trip, averaging 6 knots. We had a blast. We then practiced anchoring a few times and had our friend and AC crewman Scott on board to help scrape the hull.
Hey guys, welcome back. So before we show you our last stop before heading south to the Caribbean, we wanted to give you guys a breakdown of our refit costs thus far.
So for those of you that watched our episode 11 where we went over our plans, we're currently halfway through our refit. So we thought this would be the best time for us to go ahead and break down what we've done that we haven't shown you and show you our Excel document, which will go over all the refit stuff that we've done thus far and all the costs associated with that. So to save money, we'll be living aboard while doing all the work ourselves.
While the boat is dry docked.
So as you can see, we have spent roughly $57,000 total for the boat thus far. That's including the $30,000 that we spent on the boat originally, the roughly $2,000 in sales tax, financial transparency, right?
Yep.
So we estimate we're gonna have roughly 65 grand to 70 grand into the boat before we leave. That's including pretty much everything that we've put towards the boat thus far. Refit, haul out, storage, sales tax, what have you.
Yeah. And that's mostly what we figured out from research, where most people land on doing a refit for monohulls. You can definitely do cheaper than that.
Yeah. But
that's mostly where people land.
Yeah, that's just based upon our anecdotal research, just talking to other people in the yard and at the marinas, how much they've dumped into their boat before they go and cruise full time.
Yep. So right now we're at about 17K that we've dumped into the refit so far. So if you do some quick math, where's the rest of that 10K? So the 10K is mostly from insurance, haul out, and some of the smaller fees that we've had along the way.
Storage, and then in the Excel doc, you can see it right here. We spent roughly $1,200 on the boat that we didn't even buy. So learn from our mistakes. We paid $735 to get an engine repaired on a boat that we didn't even own.
That was bad.
Yeah, so, I mean, we lost a little bit of money there, but it's all a learning process, so.
Of the $17,000 that we spent so far, $3,000 of it went to the Bimini and Dodger.
So it really is no coincidence that our highest costing item is the only thing that we didn't do ourselves.
Yep.
And that's going to be the only thing, hopefully, that we don't do ourselves. So as you can see with the Bimini and the Dodger, we went with a fully enclosed setup. This is because we don't want to limit ourselves. We might be doing some higher latitude sailing at some point. Alright, so as you can see in the Excel doc, there's 4 different categories. That's one for me, one for Kels, and one for sponsors. No one else is going to give you the sponsorship information, by the way. And there's the percentage of ownership at the bottom. That's just to keep things separate for us. We don't really want to get into that. That's completely irrelevant for this. That's just our personal beliefs. We like to keep that separate. And as you guys know,
I was paying off my $35K in student loans during that time. So all of his money mostly went towards purchasing the boat, while all of mine went to my loans.
I mean, we're a team with this, so you might be like, wow, Ryan paid for like all the boat. Like, not really. Ryan didn't pay anything towards Kelsey's loans, but I mean, we've been together long enough that it's pretty much like my loans anyhow. So in order for us to accomplish the dream, the loans had to go away.
They had to go.
And I needed to save money to buy the boat, so there you go.
And now both are accomplished. So both of the anchors are in the top 10 most expensive things that we've purchased, but they were both sponsored.
So following that, we have the Torpedo, the Angle, and
the Portaboat. 2
of those 3 were stuff that we sold something for that was already on the boat, took that cash and applied it towards the new used product.
So for the Portaboat, we sold our inflatable that came with the boat for $400, and we got the Portaboat for $560. So really, we only spent $160 on the Portaboat.
Scenario was pretty much the same for the Torpedo outboard. We sold our outboard for $400. It was a gas-powered outboard, so we got rid of that, sold it for $400, and we bought the Torpedo for $460, so we only spent $60 to get pretty much a brand new Torpedo to us.
Yep.
So one of the main things with buying a used boat is pretty much like buying a house that's completely furnished. So you're essentially moving into someone's house and taking over their lifestyle and how they wanted to live it. So that's why a refit is like a big thing with sailboats. It's like any boat is always going to need work. And reality is, I mean, people just have different opinions and philosophies about how the boat should be set up. So that's a big expense when you're trying to change over how someone else's lifestyle was and fitting it into how you want it. So for us, we didn't want the gas outboard. And we found a cheap way of doing it and getting rid of it, which was you sell it on OfferUp or Craigslist, and then you buy whatever it is that you want, not brand new, definitely not from West Marine. You buy it from Craigslist.
Torqeedo then sponsored us with a spare battery. Spare battery is 915 watt hours, and this thing quadruples our range. We're stoked to have Torqeedo on board with us, and thank you for doing your part to combat climate change.
So you can see the remaining items and their corresponding costs here. Moving on, we're going to go ahead and show you the remaining costs that we have for the refit. Like we said, we're halfway through right now, and majority of the work that we've done thus far has been smaller items, and now this is more of the big stuff that takes a lot of time, but it doesn't cost as much as the refit has cost us thus far.
So for our remaining refit items, we have two sections, our must-haves and our nice-to-have. Our must-haves totals to about $5,000, and our nice-to-haves is about $11,000 and includes things like a tankless water heater, the synthetic teak deck, and other luxury items.
So we got the port lights, got a lot of epoxy and resin stuff because we're going to be sealing up some through holes that we're going to be getting rid of because we're going to a composting head. We also have on the side there, you'll see sponsor. That's not definite yet. We're hoping to have those two items sponsored, so solar panels and then charge controller. That's just based upon our research that we've done. We think we can be able to get them for maybe free or at least discounted.
So we'll be doing a complete refit video once all of our projects are done.
Yeah, like we said, we're halfway right now, so once everything's completed, we'll give you the total cost, pretty much how much has it taken for us to go ahead and cruise the Caribbean.
If you're interested in seeing all the other tabs and details on this document, it's available for all patrons that are part of the AC Crew Only page.
And in order to access that page, you're going to need the patron's password. Again, this isn't no crazy plug for patron. If you don't want to be a patron, that's fine. You don't have to be. We're still going to make the videos. But if you want the physical copy of this document, which will show pretty much what we went through when we were in the boat buying process, the offers that we thought of making, and the comps for the other boats we were looking at. So if you're interested in the hard document and you want that, you can get that at this link up here. We're being extra precautious about checking out this boatyard and this manual lock by land because
our old dock mates ran aground about a foot from the lock, and they draft about
5 feet. Yeah, they draft about a foot less than us, so they draft 5 feet. They ran aground right outside of the lock, and the lock is it's pretty hairy because it's a manual lock and you got a bunch of power boaters and stuff. So we draft a foot more. We're a bigger boat, we're a heavier boat, so we want to go ahead and check it out and see if we can actually make it in there.
For now, we head to Port Charlotte to check out the manual lock by land.
What are we doing here?
So we are scoping out Port Charlotte Harbor, see if it looks deep enough and what it kind of looks like before we potentially bring lucidity here to get some work done. We've been warned that it's not that deep around here.
We expect that we are going to be bumping bottom throughout most of it, but in terms of live aboard DIY friendly yards, this is by far one of the best. We got a hand operated lock to go through and then some other fun stuff.
We'll wait till high tide and we'll make our entrance, and hopefully we'll reduce the bumps. Just kidding, we're buying a house.
I'm on a river that winds on forever. Follow till I get where I'm going. Maybe I'm heading to die, but I'm still gonna try. I guess I'm going